What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Married to the Goddess of Death in Marvel Part 11. Now, let's begin. Whether it was the body template of General Zod, Ancient Doomsday, or Silver Superman, these body templates would have no impact on altering Naruto's appearance. Thus, to an unfamiliar adversary, Naruto appeared to be an ordinary human. He appeared to be quite ordinary. This was the main reason Certa looked down upon Naruto. Had Certa been aware of Naruto's impressive strength and track record of victories, his thoughts would surely be different. It was unfortunate that he was unaware. From Certa's perspective, mortals were insignificant creatures that he frequently disregarded. From Certa's perspective, a mortal lacked the necessary credentials to meet his sword's demise. In the face of Certa's embarrassingly disrespectful behavior, Naruto composed himself, taking a deep breath before exhaling slowly. Next, a powerful blast of frigid air erupted from Naruto's mouth, hurtling towards Certa. Despite Certa's body being composed of magma and its temperature reaching levels comparable to the surface of the sun. However, when faced with Naruto's icy breath, the molten magma rapidly solidified and turned into ice. Beginning at Certa's feet, an icy chill gradually enveloped his entire being. Certa was filled with panic upon witnessing this distressing scene. He lacked awareness of the situation, experiencing a persistent sensation of coldness throughout his body. He gradually lost sensation in his body, beginning with his feet. This was a highly unsettling scene. Certa had never encountered such a dreadful thing, even after living for such a considerable amount of time. Throughout his existence, Certa had faced numerous defeats, yet his flames remained unquenched. It is worth noting that the flame on Certa's body was referred to as the Eternal Flame. Even the mighty Odin was unable to remove the Eternal Flame from his body, yet he could not quench its fiery glow. Nevertheless, Naruto, a mere mortal in Certa's perspective, managed to accomplish this. In addition, Naruto simply paused for a moment and successfully achieved the desired outcome. Naruto's ability to accomplish this feat was attributed to his fusion with the Silver Superman body template. Superman Silver possesses the extraordinary ability to extinguish the flames of the sun with a single breath. Extinguishing Certa's eternal flame was a relatively simple task, even when the sun itself could be easily blown out. Naruto effortlessly transformed Certa into a stunning ice sculpture in a matter of seconds. Certa was unable to react before he abruptly lost consciousness. Observing the ice sculpture before him, Naruto's expression remained unchanged. It seemed like he had accomplished a minor task. Naruto expertly approached the ice sculpture and delicately tapped it with his finger. Then, the massive ice sculpture of Certa began to crack from the exact spot where Naruto had flicked it, and the cracks continued to spread. Initially, the cracks were quite small, but over time, they expanded significantly. Ultimately, the fractures continued to expand until they enveloped Certa's entire form. Then the entire ice sculpture broke apart with a loud noise. Little did Naruto realize, all eyes were fixed upon him, specifically on the shattered Certa. Everyone was taken aback and left in disbelief. Even the Asgardians conducted themselves in a highly skilled manner. They were well aware of Naruto's immense strength, considering his victory over Odin. Nevertheless, they never anticipated the sheer strength of Naruto. Naruto swiftly defeated Certa, who had been engaged in a prolonged battle with Odin. In addition, Certa met his demise with surprising ease. He became immobilized and broke apart due to a single exhalation. They couldn't fathom someone possessing such immense strength. Undoubtedly, Nidhogg and Ymir were the ones most taken aback. They gazed with confusion at the broken Certa, feeling a sense of foolishness. It was clear that Certa was just as skilled as them. Their abilities were fairly similar to one another. However, Certa met his demise in an instant. Wouldn't the consequences be similar if they were to face Naruto? Ymir was the one who panicked the most after realizing this. Considering the circumstances, he proved to be the most vulnerable target compared to Nidhogg. Nidhogg was tightly bound to the Twilight of the Gods. As long as Asgard remained intact, the Twilight of the Gods would persist and Nidhogg would continue to live. But what about him? If he passed away, then it's certain that he is no longer with us. Upon comprehending his circumstances, Ymir had already made the decision to withdraw. He lacked the bravery to remain in this place. So, under Nidhogg's bewildered stare, Ymir swiftly fled without glancing behind. When Ymir arrived, he approached cautiously, making a loud sound. His intention was to exert influence on Asgard and make it known to the 9 realms that he had returned. However, he hastily fled without glancing behind, causing considerable embarrassment. Had Thor not been fixated on him with his rune magic, Nidhogg would have let out a curse. This turned out to be a clever ploy by his teammates, resembling a treacherous sinkhole. They had all made a commitment to travel to Asgard as a group. They were all certain that they could completely destroy Asgard. However, what was the outcome? Jormungandr, the legendary sea serpent of Midgard, has met its demise, leaving behind a headless body. Certa, who boasted of his immense power, was completely obliterated with a mere breath. Now, Ymir had fled and only one of the 4 major monsters remained. Had Nidhogg been aware of how the situation would unfold, he would have chosen not to come. Why is this considered the twilight of the gods? This clearly demonstrated the expertise in dealing with the monsters. Ymir had fled. It was unfortunate that Hela prevented Ymir from escaping. Ymir's hope of escaping was shattered in the face of Hela, who wielded the powerful space stone. Hela's figure swiftly vanished. She utilized the space stone to successfully access Ymir. Despite Ymir's relentless pace, Hela remained unfazed, her expression unchanged. The temperature was still uncomfortably low. Then the deep crimson stone in her hand radiated with brilliance. Despite Ymir's valiant efforts, his struggles proved futile as he was consumed by the ominous crimson glow. Gradually, Ymir's body started to disintegrate. It felt reminiscent of a scene from a certain blockbuster film, where a certain character had made a decisive action. Meanwhile, Nidhogg let out a series of agonized roars, tormented by the relentless power of Thor's rune magic. Nidhogg exhibited remarkable strength. There was absolutely no doubt about that. However, Thor possessed even greater strength. Having acquired the rune magic, his power now exceeded that of Odin. He possessed immense strength, surpassing even Hela in her non-infinity stone state. Given the circumstances, if Nidhogg were able to defeat Thor, he would have truly become a spectre. Nidhogg surrendered once he realized that his loss was inevitable and that the twilight of gods had turned into a mockery. Nevertheless, he showed no fear whatsoever. Despite his injuries, his bravery remained unwavering. The end of the gods' reign is inevitable. And that day will mark the ultimate downfall of Asgard. Even if you try to defeat me, I will only come back stronger. Despite facing imminent death, Nidhogg remained remarkably fearless. He shouted at Thor and everyone in Asgard, vowing to return in the future. Nidhogg's unwavering self-assurance stemmed from his deep connection to the twilight of the gods. As long as the twilight of gods and Asgard remained intact, Nidhogg would continue to live. Nevertheless, Thor regarded Nidhogg with a cool gaze, his eyes filled with a hint of sarcasm. There is no future that cannot be altered. There is no adversary that cannot be defeated. Starting today, the twilight of Asgard will never arrive. Thor spoke to Nidhogg in a professional manner, exuding unwavering confidence. His eyes, adorned with intricate markings, radiated a profound sense of knowledge. During this period, Hela had also eliminated Ymir and encountered Thor. Any reality is insignificant to me, as I perceive reality as a canvas that I can artistically shape to my liking. If it is indeed an undeniable truth that destiny cannot be severed, then I shall rewrite this very reality. As Hela finished speaking, a deep crimson light emanated from her body. Nidhogg felt a surge of anxiety as he met the unwavering gazes of Hela and Thor. He experienced a sense of disappointment and a decline in his self-assurance. In theory, the Reality Stone has the potential to achieve what was previously deemed impossible. Through the immense power of the Reality Stone, it becomes possible to sever the connection between the twilight of gods and Asgard. This also meant that Nidhogg was not invincible. There is a potential risk of harm. I'm sorry, but that action is not allowed and may result in consequences. Nidhogg exclaimed in a state of extreme distress and panic. Nevertheless, the eyes of Thor and Hela remained unchanged. In Hela's possession, the Reality Stone granted her the ability to conjure a mesmerizing spinning thread of fate. This spinning thread of fate represented the connection between Asgard and the Twilight of the gods. If this thread were severed, Asgard could evade the impending doom of the Twilight of the gods. Thor acted swiftly, and a multitude of runes emanated from his body. This rune magic, when combined with Thor's divine power, creates an extraordinary and formidable force. With the power bestowed upon him, Thor fearlessly approached the spinning thread of fate. Then he reached out his hand and forcefully tore the spinning thread. Nidhogg vehemently opposed Thor's attempt to disrupt the thread of fate, unleashing a mighty roar in an effort to halt him. However, at this moment, Hela found herself in possession of another powerful artifact, the Space Stone, which emitted a brilliant blue light. Next, a professional-looking containment structure materialized and securely ensnared Nidhogg. Therefore, Nidhogg could only observe as Thor relentlessly unraveled this spinning thread of fate. At last, Thor let out a powerful scream and forcefully ripped apart the spinning thread of fate. Finally, the long-lasting entanglement of Asgard came to an end during the Twilight of the Gods. However, Nidhogg's behavior became extremely erratic. He consistently let out loud cries and attempted to escape. Unfortunately, he was unable to take any action. He felt a complete loss of connection with the Twilight of Gods. There was no longer any Twilight of the Gods, and Nidhogg had also lost his immortality as a result. Confronted by Nidhogg's frantic and unhinged gaze, Thor, having defied the inexorable grip of destiny, charged forward. Everything had come to an end. The era of the gods' demise had come to a definitive close, as the four formidable creatures that had infiltrated Asgard with the aim of ushering in Twilight had all met their defeat. Asgard achieved a thrilling triumph. From a professional standpoint, Asgard was fortunate to have successfully navigated the Twilight of the Gods. Without the three Infinity Stones, Hela would have been unable to defeat Jormungandr and Ymir. Without Naruto's involvement, Certa would have presented a significant danger to Asgard. In that scenario, the ideal outcome would involve Asgard being embroiled in a fierce battle, where the outcome hangs in the balance. It was solely due to Naruto that the scale of victory was completely skewed. Naruto effortlessly defeated Certa with a single breath, significantly diminishing the looming danger of the Twilight of Gods. Regardless of the formidable adversaries like Nidhogg, Jormungandr, or Ymir, Asgard remained impervious to their attempts at destruction. They were unable to locate the Twilight Sword. Following the conclusion of the Twilight of the Gods, Asgard found itself immersed in a lively and festive atmosphere. Everyone enthusiastically shouted Hela's name and showered praise upon the Queen. The bards meticulously crafted an awe-inspiring epic poem that would be shared throughout the 9 realms, immortalizing the heroic exploits of Hela, Thor, and Naruto. They had even suggested constructing a grand statue of the trio as a commemoration. Nevertheless, as the inhabitants of Asgard were enjoying themselves, Naruto and Hela made their way back to their sleeping quarters. I appreciate your assistance in overcoming Certa. Without your help, victory would not have come as easily this time. Hela embraced Naruto tenderly, leaning in to whisper softly in his ear. Despite being in a relationship, Hela never expected Naruto to cover her expenses. They provided mutual support, but they refrained from directly seeking assistance from one another. So, how do you plan on expressing your gratitude? Naruto regarded Hela with a confident grin and inquired. Naruto was well aware of the original storyline. Of course, he couldn't simply overlook Certa. This individual possessed the ability to obliterate Asgard with a solitary blow. Naruto, being the skilled individual that he is, was determined to prevent the events of Thor 3 from unfolding. He couldn't bear to witness the destruction of Asgard and Hela. Nevertheless, now that the issue was resolved, why not make the most of this opportunity? Observing Naruto's suggestive expression, Hela also comprehended his intentions. Thank you. Simultaneously, she gave Naruto an exasperated look. Then today, shall we give it a shot? Hela spoke with a hint of vulnerability, pushing past her feelings of embarrassment. Regarding what to attempt, it naturally involved a distinct approach. Following a period of time spent in Asgard and successfully mitigating the impact of the Twilight of Gods, Naruto returned to Earth with Hela. Nevertheless, Naruto and Hela did not return to the original manor, as it had been designated as a restricted area. In addition, following the previous Ultron incident, Naruto had become disinterested in living among humans. Given his ample free time, it would be more suitable for him to seek out a picturesque location and embrace a solitary existence. In all honesty, he had grown tired of interacting with humans. Ultimately, Naruto and Hela made the decision to reside in seclusion amidst the breathtaking landscapes of the Himalayas, where they found themselves as neighbors to Yao. By the way, the scenery on the snowy mountain was exceptional. If one becomes weary of their surroundings, they have the option to relocate. Upon encountering Yao once more, Naruto came across an unfamiliar individual. The future Sorcerer Supreme, Stephen Strange. In addition, it appears that Strange recently joined Kamartage and has become a disciple of the Supreme Sorcerer. Being well versed in the storyline, Naruto was aware. With the arrival of Dr. Strange, it became clear that Dormammu, the Lord of the Dark Dimension, was preparing to launch an attack. Simultaneously, Yao was nearing the conclusion of her life. However, Naruto was compelled to intervene as he witnessed this heart-wrenching tragedy unfolding before his eyes. Naruto had no intention of interfering in Yao's affairs, as he was not known for his kindness. He was motivated to assist Yao due to their strong personal connection. They had a strong professional relationship. Furthermore, Naruto had also acquired knowledge of white magic from her during a certain period, which led to a personal connection. That was the reason Naruto intended to assist her. He couldn't bear to witness her passing right before his eyes. Regarding Dr. Strange, Naruto didn't pay much attention to him. He was the successor of Yao and had no connection to him. She was ready to relinquish her role as the Supreme Sorcerer to Dr. Strange, which was entirely her prerogative. Naruto had no desire to pursue a career as a Supreme Sorcerer. Upon observing the arrival of Naruto and Hela, Yao graciously approached to extend a warm welcome. Naruto and his wife held a significant place in Yao's life. Setting aside Naruto's power, Hela's true identity was impossible for Yao to overlook. The Queen of Asgard, who had successfully put an end to the Twilight of the Gods. Her strength and power had far exceeded Odin's. Under Yao's guidance, everyone gathered around a tea table. Yao graciously served Naruto and Hela a cup of tea. Next, they began discussing their professional endeavors. "Is he the student you recently welcomed?" "Decent." Naruto enjoyed a sip of the tea. The taste was excellent, and the aroma was abundant. Regarding the disciple Naruto mentioned, it is evident that he was referring to Dr. Strange. "Well, he's quite competent. Perhaps he will have an opportunity to explore the realm of white magic." Yao's smile was subtle. As always, she exuded an air of composure. Yao exuded an air of utmost professionalism and expertise. She exuded a calm and composed demeanor, seemingly unaffected by any disruptions. Even when confronted with mortality, she maintained a composed demeanor. This particular focus was highly exceptional within the Marvel Universe. "Have you thoroughly considered all aspects? I am available to assist you at your convenience." Naruto also spoke in a composed manner and made a commitment. Assisting Yao was a minor task for Naruto, which he effortlessly handled. However, for Yao, it could be a matter of life and death. Based on conventional wisdom, she should have agreed, but to Naruto's surprise, she shook her head and declined. "Simply embrace the course of destiny. I prefer to leave everything as it is. And after all these years, I'm exhausted. It's time for me to take a break and relax." Yao grinned and addressed Naruto. With her possession of the Time Stone, she had no trouble foreseeing her future. Yao was fully aware of her impending demise. Nevertheless, she gracefully embraced her demise and refrained from dwelling on altering her past. Observing Yao's determined demeanor, Naruto refrained from saying too much. Ultimately, this was her decision. As long as she was satisfied with her decision, it was acceptable. Naruto was ready to assist her, provided that she required assistance. Her demeanor had also dissipated Naruto's intentions of rescuing her. They had a conversation with Yao before departing. Prior to departing, Naruto noticed Yao giving instructions to Strange and disapproved silently. While Dr. Strange was decent, he pales in comparison to Yao when it comes to being a guardian of Earth. Strange was meant to become a superhero. He was unable to safeguard Earth with the same level of discretion as Yao. He had a tendency to flaunt his accomplishments. Regarding maintaining a relationship with Dr. Strange, Naruto didn't pay it any mind. The sole reason for his successful rapport with Yao stemmed from his prior experience of learning magic from her. Regarding Dr. Strange, Naruto had a strong dislike for him. It would be interesting to consider Dr. Strange as a superhero who has faced numerous challenges and setbacks in the Marvel Universe. It seemed like he was either facing a setback or heading towards a loss. Tony, Loki, and Doctor Doom had all taken on the role of Supreme Sorcerer, leaving a trail of stolen positions in their wake. It was crucial that whenever someone usurped the role of the Supreme Sorcerer, Doctor Strange proved unable to defeat them. Whenever he needed assistance, he would make a phone call. He consistently emerged victorious over his adversaries with the assistance of a substantial number of individuals. Naruto had a disdainful view of such an individual, who frequently disrupted things. Following that, the atmosphere became quite tranquil. Naruto and Hayla resided in seclusion amidst the majestic Himalayan mountain range. They admired the snowy mountain daily and engaged in playful banter. They enjoyed a successful and fulfilling life. The primary factor was tranquility. Despite the calming effect of peace, Naruto clearly remained unaffected. Naruto's power was rapidly increasing, even when he was at rest. The sheer magnitude of his strength was becoming increasingly formidable with each passing day. Perhaps by fully merging the body template of Silver Superman, he could potentially become the most powerful individual in the Marvel Universe. Hayla, too, found great satisfaction in this type of lifestyle. She was a seasoned individual who had weathered many storms and faced turbulent waves. She had also developed a remarkable and sophisticated demeanor. Now she was content as long as she was with Naruto. Regarding the affairs of Asgard, Hayla found it necessary to occasionally give some attention to them, as Frigga was already taking care of them in a professional manner. Naruto and Hayla were able to spend ample time together, resulting in the creation of a new life. It must be acknowledged that one drawback of possessing great strength is the challenge of giving birth to offspring. Let's avoid discussing Hayla. Even her father Odin, who had dedicated himself tirelessly for thousands of years, ultimately only had a single son and daughter. It is evident how unlikely it was for Hayla to give birth. Naruto's strength was further magnified. After merging with the Silver Superman body template, his power became so immense that it was nearly unfathomable. Given the circumstances, it proved to be quite challenging for him to bring a child into the world. Nevertheless, once they welcomed a child into their lives, it would undoubtedly become an incredibly powerful entity in the vast expanse of the universe. Because the child's parents possessed exceptional genetic qualities. Regarding Hayla and Naruto, they had a desire to start a family, but they were in no rush to do so. Their lifespan seemed to stretch on indefinitely, particularly Naruto, who appeared to be impervious to death, even in the face of a universe-shattering explosion. They had ample time. They could proceed at a measured pace. The process of creating a new life was enjoyable, nonetheless. Hayla was truly a gem, capable of evoking a fresh sensation within Naruto with each encounter. Naruto would always appreciate her stunning physique. Regardless, their relationship had been solidified, so it was only natural for them to engage in an activity that brought them both joy. Despite consistently declining, Hayla's body remained incredibly truthful. She consistently lacked honesty, which was a recurring trait. In addition to his regular schedule with Hayla, Naruto's sign-in system had recently taken on a more somber tone. The sign-in rewards now consisted of only basic gadgets, rendering them useless. Naruto was indifferent. He had become accustomed to it. The system had already impressed Naruto with its occasional, impressive rewards. In contrast to Naruto and Hayla's typical days, the outside world was significantly more tumultuous. the effects of the previous storm caused by Ultron were slowly becoming apparent. During that incident, numerous superheroes were compelled to contribute their blood. Those scientists took their blood without any compensation. And following the scientists' utilization of the blood, they successfully developed numerous serums. While the majority of those serums proved to be unsuccessful, a small fraction of them still demonstrated effectiveness. During this period, the military was able to cultivate a group of exceptional individuals with remarkable capabilities. It is important for individuals to have knowledge about the US military. They consistently initiated problems, but their proficiency in handling the consequences was quite subpar. Many superpower individuals created by the military have managed to break free from their control and have unfortunately caused significant damage in society. The news channels in the United States were now regularly covering these supervillains on a daily basis. The number of supervillains had increased significantly, while the superhero group faced a major setback in the previous storm of public opinion. Several superheroes were also dealing with the consequences of military experiments. Several superheroes had also adopted a different appearance. After becoming supervillains, they were fiercely seeking retribution against society. It can be said that if one does not actively pursue death, one would not meet their demise. Those individuals who prioritized personal gain are now facing the consequences of their actions. Obviously, Naruto was indifferent to such matters. He didn't have time for them. Naruto found Yao's death to be significant. Just like in the original storyline, Yao ultimately met her demise at the hands of her former apprentice. Naturally, this was also her decision. Otherwise, besides Naruto and a select few powerful beings on Earth, no one possessed the ability to defeat her. However, Naruto was taken aback when, the very next day after her passing, she paid him a visit. Just to clarify, it wasn't Yao's soul that came over. Instead, she approached Naruto with a fresh appearance. "So, you're pretending to die?" Surprised by Yao's unexpected visit, Naruto exclaimed. Yao agreed and gave his approval to Naruto's statement. "If I survive, Doctor Strange will face significant challenges in his personal growth. It is undeniable that the future holds great potential for him," she said with a friendly expression. Her demeanor remained composed and serene. However, her demeanor indicated a desire to step away from her current role. "What are your future plans? Will you be seeking a secluded corner on Earth to live in?" Naruto inquired of Yao, expressing his curiosity about her plans for the future once she decided to step away from her current occupation. This was primarily due to the absence of any mention in the original plot. Yao passed away in the original storyline. The fact that she would fake her death was not properly communicated. So Naruto was uncertain about her career path. "No, I have sufficient experience on Earth. I intend to embark on a journey to the universe and spend some time with my mentor," Yao responded with a friendly smile. She had no intention of concealing anything from Naruto. She was clearly very pleased with Naruto. Deep down, Naruto truly proved to be her most capable successor. If Naruto were to embrace the role of a highly skilled sorcerer, she would swiftly eliminate Doctor Strange and bestow upon Naruto the esteemed position of Supreme Sorcerer. Regrettably, Yao was aware that Naruto had little interest in the role of Supreme Sorcerer. Naruto was someone who seemed to avoid taking on any kind of responsibility. Maybe Naruto could occasionally assist Earth in overcoming a crisis. Actually, it was simply Naruto's lack of interest. He had never considered it his duty to safeguard the Earth. Yao understood this quite well, so she had no intention of pressuring him. Upon hearing her words, Naruto started to speculate. Who is Yao's master? Was she still under someone's guidance? Indeed, there was a master. The individual most likely to have been her master was Emperor Wei Shan. Nevertheless, it was widely believed that Yao's master held a prestigious position as one of the 5 gods, being recognized as a disciple of eternity. Perhaps one of the deities in the Trinity, Emperor Wei Shan, could be considered a clone of eternity. Naruto didn't inquire any further, naturally. It was not within his jurisdiction. Regardless of her future endeavors, Naruto had no intention of pursuing this matter. If nothing unforeseen occurred, it is unlikely that they would have an opportunity to cross paths again. Have a great day. In the end, Naruto could only express these words to Yao. She was indifferent. She bid farewell to Naruto and vanished from the earth. After that, Yao, the esteemed sorcerer, departed from the mortal realm. And Naruto had also lost someone who could hardly be considered a friend. In a different realm beyond the perception of ordinary individuals, Dr. Strange found himself embarking on his inaugural trial. The formidable Lord of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu, had been summoned by his devoted followers and was on the verge of descending upon Earth. Unfortunately, during the journey back to Earth, Dormammu encountered some unforeseen difficulties. Dormammu experienced discomfort when Dr. Strange appeared, bringing along the Eye of Agamotto containing the Time Stone. When Dr. Strange uttered the famous line, "Dormammu, I've come to bargain," Dormammu experienced an intensified sense of agony. He had extensive experience with this method. In the past, Yao had performed a similar action. The script remained unchanged. Dr. Strange faced repeated challenges as he battled against Dormammu. However, he consistently returned to undergo the cycle of being killed. Dormammu had a distinctiveness that set him apart from Dr. Strange. He had already transcended the river of time and would remain unaffected by the time loop. Consequently, Dr. Strange met his demise repeatedly, causing Dormammu considerable frustration. Okay, let's put an end to this pointless repetition. After repeatedly defeating Dr. Strange, Dormammu grew frustrated and put an end to his antics. This individual, don't you feel fatigued already? Dr. Strange was undoubtedly exhausted. However, he understood that without taking that action, he would not have the ability to overcome Dormammu. Ultimately, Dr. Strange used his audacity to convince Dormammu to reconsider his plans for Earth. Once Dr. Strange achieved a satisfactory outcome, he vanished from the Dark Dimension. After Dr. Strange departed, Dormammu refrained from returning to his dimension. Instead, he shifted his focus and began exploring the various realms of the 9 realms. Earth was beyond his reach, but he set his sights on consuming the other worlds of the 9 realm. After all, he couldn't leave without achieving something during his visit. With this idea in mind, Dormammu ventured towards a location known as Alfheim. Despite the allure of Asgard, the Queen of Asgard displayed great strength. Dormammu was cautious and wanted to avoid any potential problems. The Light Elves of Alfheim had a distinct quality about them. They lacked the necessary expertise and were not highly regarded by Asgard. However, Dormammu was caught off guard when Heimdall observed his every action. Heimdall was aware of Odin's previous encounter with Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension. Upon witnessing Dormammu's advance towards Alfheim, Heimdall promptly relayed this information to Hela. Indeed, Alfheim held a significant position as one of the 9 realms, firmly under the jurisdiction of Asgard. Hela, who had been casually interacting with Naruto, underwent a sudden transformation. Her demeanor became intense and her aura exuded a palpable sense of danger. "Oh, Dormammu, how dare you!" Hela muttered under her breath. She was extremely angry with Dormammu's behavior. This ambitious ruler of the Dark Dimension actually had the audacity to take action against the 9 realms. Despite its limited presence, Alfheim remained a significant component of the 9 realms. Following a setback on Earth, Dormammu swiftly shifted his attention towards Alfheim, ready to consume it. This was a surprising turn of events for Hela. Naruto remained unchanged. This was completely unexpected in the plot. Nevertheless, Naruto remained indifferent. Once he arrived, the plot had already undergone significant changes. Or maybe, in the initial storyline, Dormammu had consumed Alfheim. However, the movie did not depict this, so it remained a mere possibility. Having experienced the world for a considerable amount of time, Naruto had shed his previous naivety. This was a serious world, and anything could happen. Alfheim held a significant place among the 9 realms. Given its proximity to Earth, it was only natural for Dormammu to target it. This was easily comprehensible. many of the situations were frequently coincidental, otherwise, accidents would not occur. Thus, Naruto, being a professional, would not naively trust the storyline without first adjusting his mindset. Regarding the issue of Dormammu, he handled it professionally. Alfheim had a distinct difference from Earth, with its deep waters that even Asgard had to approach cautiously. However, Alfheim has always been under the jurisdiction of Asgard. This was Asgard's colony. Dormammu sought to consume Alfheim, causing harm to the interests of Asgard and Hela. Considering Naruto's connection with Hela, it's likely that their interests align closely. Dormammu must be eliminated. For whatever reason, Naruto was determined to confront Dormammu, whether it was to expand his own influence or to retaliate against Hela's wrath. With a firm grip on Hela's waist, Naruto led her into the passageway created by the Space Stone, exuding a composed demeanor. Dormammu found himself in a difficult situation after narrowly avoiding a disaster on Earth. However, due to his own selfishness, he now had to confront Naruto in Alfheim. Alfheim, commonly referred to as the Kingdom of Light. There were no Ultramans with the ability to emit light skills present. On the contrary, a group of refined Light Elves was present. Throughout the Nine Realms, the Light Elves have long been known for their less-than-stellar reputation. However, this was also connected to their demeanor, which was quite understated. The Light Elves were quite uncommon. Throughout history, they had engaged in a solitary conflict, where they found themselves on the receiving end of an invasion. Following the invasion by the Dark Elves of the Nine Realms, their existence was on the brink of annihilation. Without Asgard's assistance, the Light Elves would have been consigned to the annals of history. It was for this particular reason that the relationship between the Light Elves and Asgard had consistently been positive. The Light Elves of Asgard were known for their craftsmanship and the exquisite wines they produced. Throughout the years, they had enjoyed the protection of Asgard. Thus, the lives of the Light Elves were quite satisfactory. These elves transformed Alfheim into a sprawling garden, showcasing their innate connection with nature. However, today, the tranquil Alfheim faced its most significant crisis to date. There was an individual named Dormammu who had taken an interest in this location. From the vantage point of Alfheim's ground, one would observe a striking transformation as the once vibrant sky transformed into a deep shade of black. As if a formidable creature was on the verge of descending. The Light Elves were quick to observe the scene, their gaze filled with concern as they looked up at the unusual occurrence above them. A group of reserved Light Elves had begun to offer prayers beneath a towering tree. Given their limited combat capabilities, they were unable to resist the invaders. Right as the Light Elves were feeling scared, Hela and Naruto made their entrance in Alfheim. Surveying the expansive garden before him, even Naruto couldn't help but feel a sense of astonishment. Alfheim was undeniably the most breathtaking place in the entire Nine Realms. Nevertheless, the issue with Dormammu needed to be addressed before anything else. Otherwise, this magnificent world would become a thing of the past. Considering this, Naruto and Hela wasted no time and boldly ventured into Dormammu's dark dimension. Dormammu! Please come out immediately! Upon entering the dark dimension, Hela displayed her regal presence. Simultaneously, Hela's attire transformed into a resplendent suit of battle armor. Hela exuded an aura of power and authority, commanding attention wherever she went. Hela and Naruto didn't have to wait for long before Dormammu found them. Before long, an unsightly, large face materialized before the pair. It was Dormammu, a highly skilled and experienced entity from the Dark Dimension. "Are you declaring war on me, Your Majesty of Asgard?" With a wealth of experience and expertise, Dormammu exuded a natural sense of self-assurance. Was he concerned about his reputation? Upon their arrival, they vociferously criticized him. If news of this were to spread, how would he manage to endure? In addition, even Odin himself refrained from such audacity in his presence, and Hela was not entitled to reprimand him. Despite his reluctance to incite Asgard, he refrained from doing so due to its lack of significance. There was no indication that Dormammu was intimidated by Asgard. You were the one who initiated hostilities with Asgard. Alfheim is recognized as one of the Nine Realms. Now that you're about to take action on Alfheim, it is clear that you do not hold my Asgard in high regard." Hela also smirked and addressed Dormammu. With 3 Infinity Stones firmly in her grasp, she faced Dormammu without a trace of fear. In addition, although she may not have the ability to overcome Dormammu, she had Naruto by her side. While Hela didn't want to overly depend on Naruto, she wouldn't be overly strict either. Even in the most desperate situations, she would turn to Naruto for assistance. Ultimately, Naruto was everything to her. What could be the reason for Naruto's lack of support for her? Dormammu was undoubtedly angered by Hela's words. He believed he hadn't taken any action in a considerable amount of time, leading many individuals to overlook his intimidating nature. Now, even Hela, with a power level comparable to that of a heavenly father, dared to challenge him. "Then you may remain here indefinitely, reigning over Asgard." Dormammu had a rather unpleasant disposition. Given their inability to communicate verbally, he resorted to physical confrontation. Right after that, numerous sinister forces converged and transformed into multiple tentacles that swiftly extended across a vast expanse, relentlessly striking towards Hela. Dormammu possessed considerable strength. He possesses an impressive level of strength. Out of all the formidable individuals Naruto had encountered, Galactus was the only one capable of effortlessly subduing Dormammu. Even Yao had to depend on the Time Stone to confront Dormammu. It goes without saying that Hela wouldn't stand a chance against Dormammu, even with Odin's power. Nevertheless, she maintained possession of 3 Infinity Stones. Instead of seeking assistance from Naruto, Hela opted to retrieve the Space Stone. A faint blue space slash appeared and swiftly cut through the tentacle created by the dark power. The tentacles created by the immense power of the dark dimension were naturally susceptible to the blade forged by the formidable power of the Space Stone. The Infinity Stone's immense power had severed their connection without any hesitation. This space cut was the most recent ability of the Space Stone that Hela had discovered. With her expanding understanding of the 3 Infinity Stones, she seeks to further harness their immense power. Nevertheless, it was clear that she couldn't overcome Dormammu's power by solely relying on the Infinity Stones. Upon witnessing the Space Stone, Dormammu displayed a composed demeanor, refusing to succumb to panic. Dormammu's immense strength renders him impervious to the influence of the Infinity Stones. Unless all 6 Infinity Stones were collected, they posed no significant threat to him. This was the case for both the Space Stone and the Reality Stone. Noticing the limited impact of the Space Stone, Hela proceeded to swiftly retrieve the Reality Stone. Out of nowhere, a surge of deep blue and crimson energy engulfed the dark dimension. The immense power that Dormammu had accumulated was completely obliterated. The formidable force was completely overpowered by the immense strength of the Infinity Stone. However, Dormammu did not seem to be in a rush. Within the dark dimension, his energy seemed boundless, in stark contrast to Hela's limitations. When Hela reached a point of fatigue, it was time for him to retaliate. As anticipated by Dormammu, Hela's intense assault proved to be short-lived. Irrespective of whether it was the Space Stone or Reality Stone, they possessed immense power, albeit at the cost of significant energy consumption. Hela would certainly be fatigued after unleashing a series of intense assaults. If this were Asgard, it would be acceptable, as her divine power would be consistently restored. However, in the dark dimension, Hela's power was significantly diminished. Luckily, Hela had some company in the form of Naruto by her side. Nevertheless, Dormammu was unaware of Naruto's true power. Upon observing Hela's evident fatigue, a sinister grin spread across his countenance. "That's sufficient, it's my opportunity now. Initially, my intention was solely to consume Alfheim, but now I am quite frustrated. I have made the decision to add Asgard to my collection by consuming it." Dormammu spoke with a callous disregard for the countless lives at stake in both realms. Being the ruler of the dark dimension, Dormammu was undoubtedly a malevolent individual. Throughout his extensive career, the staggering number of intelligent beings who had perished due to his actions is truly incalculable. How could a heartless and merciless ruler allow Hela and Asgard to escape without consequences? Without Naruto, even Hela would struggle to handle Dormammu. Dormammu had set his sights on Alfheim, leaving Hela powerless to intervene. She had even brought Asgard down. Luckily, Hela had no concerns about this whatsoever. "I am unable to continue. I will entrust him to your care. Allow me to take a break and recharge." Hela firmly grasped Naruto's shoulder and spoke to him. Observing Hela, who appeared vulnerable, Naruto nodded in agreement and gently tucked her disheveled hair behind her ears. Right after that, Naruto gave Dormammu a piercing stare. Naruto had complete confidence in taking action against the formidable Lord Dormammu of the Dark Dimension. Due to the individual's actions that provoked Hela's anger, Naruto was determined not to let him escape. In addition, Dormammu himself had a questionable character. Ending his life could be seen as his contribution to the existence of all living beings in the universe. Then Naruto's eyes sparkled, as if he had an extraordinary radiance within them. Next, he utilized his impressive heat vision, which emanated from his eyes. Following the merger with the Silver Superman body template, Naruto's super hot rays experienced a significant boost in power. Silver Superman's heat vision possesses the remarkable ability to disintegrate matter and dissolve any substance known to man. Undoubtedly, the current Naruto was unable to achieve such a level as he had not fully integrated with the Silver Superman body template. However, the sheer power of this scorching beam was still incredibly frightening. In the ominous dark dimension of Dormammu, a number of planets that he had ruthlessly pillaged started to dissolve into nothingness. Due to the incredibly high temperature of super heat vision, it surpasses even the core of the Sun. Given the extreme temperature, the melting of planets was a typical occurrence. Regarding the vast and formidable power of the Dark Dimension, it was further intensified by Naruto's extraordinary heat vision. Dormammu helplessly observed as the formidable power he depended on rapidly dissipated. This scene deeply saddened Dormammu. To achieve the level of power he possesses now, he dedicated a significant amount of time and effort. Ultimately, Naruto effortlessly melted it in a matter of seconds. This was like delving into his very being. "Cease your actions, you wretched individual." Dormammu was feeling uneasy. His primary motivation for consuming other planets was solely to enhance his malevolent power. However, on this occasion, he not only failed to replenish an adequate amount of dark power, but he also suffered significant losses due to Naruto's interference. This was something that Dormammu could never tolerate. To put an end to Naruto's rampage, Dormammu resorted to unleashing a menacing dark beam from his grotesque mouth. However, Naruto redirected his attention so that the intense beams intersected with the ominous dark beam. It was clear from the start that Naruto emerged victorious. The intense heat of the rays obliterated the dark beam, striking Dormammu's body with full force. Dormammu's unattractive visage contorted with an unfamiliar display of discomfort. If the never-ending time loop of Doctor Strange was a torment for his spirit, then today, Naruto's heat ray vision was a physical agony. Dormammu's body, which was composed of the purest evil force, had already developed several fissures. Through the gaps, Hela could see golden magma. That was the evil force that was destroyed by Naruto's extremely hot rays. While Dormammu screamed in anguish, the entire black dimension exploded into flames. Countless planets began to evaporate, and countless dark Dormammu worshippers lamented. Dormammu continued to scream, and his aura weakened. Dormammu, who had been alive for a long time, was currently in a grave predicament. He didn't expect to be so vulnerable in front of Naruto after fighting Galactus without losing. Hela gazed at Naruto, who was continually blasting super heat vision, with loving eyes, and felt very proud. This was her boyfriend. Only someone like Naruto was worthy of her affection. Hela had no pity for the dark dimension that was blazing around her. Her heart was also filled with delight. She believed Dormammu deserved it. Wasn't it better for him to return to his territory? Why did he persist on traveling to Alfheim to make trouble? His attitude was likewise bad. He was depending on his might to do anything he desired. Without Naruto, not to mention protecting Alfheim, Asgard may be in peril. Dormammu may not have expected to find an opponent that could easily defeat him in a little region like 9 realms. Naruto did not put much effort into dealing with Dormammu. his present strength was so great that he couldn't quantify it. If he truly intended to kill Dormammu swiftly, he had several options. Instead of spending any more time in the Black Dimension, Naruto and Hela hurriedly fled. The Light Elves in Alfheim understandably delighted when they learned that the issue had been resolved. It was simply that Naruto and Hela were keeping a low profile, so the Light Elves had no idea who assisted them. This held true in whatever universe. If you didn't have enough power, you couldn't reach a higher level circle. Except for the Supreme Sorcerer Yao and the Queen of Asgard Hela, many individuals lacked the necessary qualities to learn about other powerful creatures. Take Nick Fury as an example. He barely knew a few civilizations from the 9 realms and the cosmos. He had no idea about the more evolved immortal race, the celestial gods, or even the 5 great gods. If Nick Fury learned this information, he could realize how inconsequential humans are in the cosmos. But maybe this wasn't so horrible for Nick Fury. Sometimes ignorance was a blessing. After all, Nick Fury couldn't handle the issue on Earth. Why should he care about the huge world beyond? Nick Fury was recently in poor health. The situation in the United States was so tumultuous that Nick Fury had a headache. There were too many supervillains in the United States. Even Nick Fury didn't know how to stop them. The aftermath of Ultron's last public opinion storm was simply too violent. Aside from the supervillains that caused him headaches, Nick Fury was most concerned about the mutant who had suddenly surfaced. A few days ago, a mutant named Apocalypse awoke in Egypt. When Apocalypse awoke, he immediately conquered several mutants and merged them together. He referred to them as the Apocalypse Legion. Aside from Apocalypse, the Apocalypse Legion consisted of 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, led by him. Each of them was so powerful that they could easily take out regular superheroes. The 4 Knights of the Apocalypse were Conqueror Knight Red Tank, War Knight Quicksilver, Famine Knight Saber-Toothed Tiger, and Death Knight Wanda. By depending on the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, Apocalypse rapidly established himself as the mutant race's leader. Now, led by Apocalypse, these mutants planned to accomplish something extremely enormous over the planet. Nick Fury was understandably on the lookout for the Apocalypse Legion and had been watching its movements for quite some time. However, Apocalypse's skills were too powerful, and Nick Fury had limited success thus far. Damn, Ultron! Damn that untrustworthy president! Damn the soldiers! With a headache, Nick Fury could only massage his temples and swear. If these 3 parties had not contributed to the Great Storm, the situation today would not be as grave. Initially, Earth had Naruto as a trump card, but they are now adversaries. Even the brilliant Avengers were reduced to little cats, which was even worse than before. As a result, SHIELD was rendered helpless in the face of Apocalypse's rapid growth. It's not like Nick Fury had no other options. In truth, he did not want to disclose his trump card so quickly. According to Nick Fury's concept, SHIELD was meant to be the department entirely responsible for dealing with Earth's superhuman danger. On the other side, the SWORD Bureau was in charge of dealing with the threat posed by extraterrestrial civilization. If there was no other option, Nick Fury didn't want to reveal the Apocalypse Legion to the Earth. Let's just hope that the situation doesn't become too bad, Nick Fury thought to himself. He was becoming more and more helpless. Just for the promise he made in front of his old employer, Ms. Peggy Carter, this monarch of agents gave everything he had to safeguard Earth. Apocalypse was briefly stationed in a rural village in the United States with his Apocalypse Legion. As one of ancient Egypt's monarchs, Apocalypse had always considered himself a deity. He claimed to be the world's first mutant and the progenitor of all mutants. As a result, his personality was exceedingly haughty. He did, however, have the capital to be haughty because he was an Omega-level mutant. His power was significantly greater than that of Magneto or Professor X. Within a few days of his resurrection, Apocalypse had used his own might to rule the majority of the mutants on Earth, becoming the Apocalypse Legion. The triumph of Apocalypse was due in large part to the mutants' inability to select a formidable leader. Because the narrative had altered, Apocalypse had no competitors. Even Black Phoenix had died. As a result, Apocalypse's task of unifying the mutant society was very straightforward. Furthermore, his achievement was tied to the current living habitat for mutants. Mutants were likewise affected by the prior chaos unleashed by Ultron. Who knows how many mutants the military apprehended and imprisoned during the storm? As a result, the tensions between mutants and ordinary people had become exceedingly intense, with violent clashes occurring often. The mutant races might dwindle with the deaths of its two leaders, Magneto and Professor X. The mutant population at the moment desperately needed a strong leader, and Apocalypse was the best choice. The narrative of Apocalypse seems to have changed totally. His current luck was far better than the previous narrative. After all, in the original comic, he was ripped apart by the Black Phoenix. As he gazed at the gathering of mutants gathered in front of him, admiring him, Apocalypse nodded with pleasure. He relished the experience of being revered like a deity. The only thing that bothered Apocalypse was that he wasn't the only deity in the world. Although his time in the world after waking was brief, Apocalypse understood that there was still a deity on Earth today. This time, the Apocalypse targeted the world's deity. That's correct, Apocalypse arrived for Naruto. These mutants pursued Naruto in addition to Apocalypse. Killing the false god and regaining his glory was the reason Apocalypse returned to the United States this time. Have you found the whereabouts of that false god? Apocalypse spoke slowly and questioned Quicksilver, who stood in front of him. Since he was coming to destroy the false deity, Apocalypse's first task was to locate Naruto. But Naruto had vanished after sinking a state in the United States. No, that guy's hiding. He does not dare to confront us. Quicksilver spoke to Apocalypse with a frigid expression and a hateful tone. Aside from Quicksilver, the Scarlet Witch, who was fueled with wrath, was also present. Ultron was supposed to murder Quicksilver before Wanda joined the Avengers, according to the original plan. However, just as the narrative had altered dramatically as a result of Naruto's entrance, so had Wanda and Quicksilver's lives. Quicksilver and Wanda learnt about their origins and their father, Magneto. Both of them despised Naruto for murdering Magneto. After all, it was the hate for killing their father. How could they just let go of it? Pietro and Wanda joined the Apocalypse Legion to exact their revenge, and because to their tremendous talents, they became two of the four horsemen of Apocalypse. Is that true? Then let's stick to the original plan and take back the area that belongs to us first. Although Apocalypse was disappointed that he couldn't quickly destroy Naruto, a fictitious deity, he didn't take it too seriously. After all, restoring his kingdom was far more important to him than murdering a phony deity. And Apocalypse assumed that once he dominated the world, Naruto would be easy to locate. Almost all of these mutants revered Apocalypse as a deity. Naturally, there were no objections to Apocalypse's plan. Even Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch Wanda had momentarily set aside their animosity against their father's murderer in enough to assist the mutant deity in assuming the throne. These mutants never questioned whether Apocalypse was Naruto's opponent or not. Because Apocalypse was very confident. Had never taken Naruto seriously. Apocalypse was aware of Naruto's exploits, but he was convinced that he could do the same, if not better. As an Omega-level mutant, Apocalypse believed he could easily destroy the Earth. So, Apocalypse and the mutants intended to battle Naruto over these issues. Self-confidence was a nice trait, but it appears that Apocalypse was overconfident. Despite his decision to live in isolation with Hela, Naruto remained aware of what was going on around him. Reading the news and viewing broadcasts about those supervillains every day may now be termed a pastime. As a result, Naruto learnt about the Apocalypse. According to reports, Apocalypse commanded his mutants to take over Las Vegas, a well-known gambling city in the United States, and slaughter all of the city's ordinary residents. Such a horrible behavior undoubtedly shocked human culture. The military was summoned, and numerous troops hurried to Las Vegas. However, news of the military's loss spread quickly, and none of the tens of thousands of US military troops survived. The enormous desert outside Las Vegas had gobbled them all up. This was one of Apocalypse's talents. It is capable of creating deserts and controlling sand. Under Apocalypse's influence, even regular fine sand could readily penetrate the heaviest tank armor. no matter how many regular people battled him on the premises of the Apocalypse Legion, it remained ineffective. This conflict also made the US military acutely aware that times had changed. Today's Earth was no longer in an era where the person with the largest army and the most powerful weaponry was the boss. The current Earth was in a period when great creatures reigned. Only ultimate strength stood above all else. The existence of Naruto, Black Phoenix, and today's Apocalypse all serve as excellent illustrations of this concept. Furthermore, in the future, there will be an increasing number of superheroes whose personal authority exceeds that of the state. At the same time, the military's failure sparked widespread outrage. The people of the United States were in a frenzy, and they were once again gathering to begin a march. This time, they targeted the federal government and military. Their previous procession forced several superheroes to give blood for military research. They believed that it would strengthen the military. The military would be able to better defend them, or release serums that would transform them into superheroes. But what about the end result? It was okay if they weren't superheroes. However, the military remained the same. As previously, it was merely defenseless in the face of the mutant apocalypse. How could such an outcome be accepted by the public? These folks were deeply remorseful of what they had done at Ultron's suggestion. The superheroes who could have defended them were unable to recuperate from their ordeal. They didn't have much fighting ability. They utterly drove away the world's most powerful deity. Had even submerged a chunk of state into the water. The advantages were not worth the losses. Reality had given them a smack. If these guys hadn't already betrayed the superhero organization, Apocalypse and his Apocalypse Legion may have been vanquished right away. Spider-Man was still healing and attempting to minimize the adverse effects of excessive blood drawing. This also meant that the existing United States had no control over the apocalypse. The military did not even dare to deploy its most powerful weapon, nuclear bombs, on mutants. Nuclear bombs were powerful, but their actual damage radius was insufficient, and most mutants could easily evade them. And the most lethal radiation from nuclear weapons was only a tonic for mutants. It would simply strengthen the mutations. As a result, despite their reluctance to recognize it, US authorities lacked the power to control the apocalypse. Some US authorities even advocated that Las Vegas be designated as mutant land. There were many people who supported this proposition. However, once the apocalypse took another city, the day after he took Vegas, and massacred its regular inhabitants, no one repeated this proposition again. Now, all of the United States high-ranking authorities understood that what the catastrophe wanted was not just a piece of land, but the entire country. In this circumstance, the United States military had no option but to battle them. However, given the current state of the United States, how can the military even fight back? They disabled the superheroes, and the nuclear bomb, their most potent weapon, proved ineffective against the mutants. As a result, US authorities felt helpless. Some well-informed rich Americans had already begun fleeing to other countries in search of safety. Naruto was not only unconcerned with the news, but he also wanted to laugh. Good, really good. Initially, the United States situation was highly favorable, but in the end, a strong hand of cards was played very poorly. Naruto didn't have time to halt Apocalypse. Even if the apocalypse destroyed the whole United States, it was none of his concern. Naruto got it now. He should simply live his life properly. Why bother looking for trouble? As long as Apocalypse did not upset him, even if it returned Earth to the Dark Age. This has nothing to do with Naruto. What Naruto didn't realize was that Apocalypse had planned to bother him. This was the difficulty of being very famous. Anyone who became a villain wanted to exploit Naruto as a springboard to their success. The so-called human nature was indeed like this. Naruto was renowned as the god of the world, therefore there would be many unhappy villains who thought they were stronger than him. After all, being proud was natural in the Marvel universe. Not everyone was able to contain himself. Even Wolverine, let alone Apocalypse, would not have dared to destroy the Marvel universe. The apocalypse was not Naruto's first struggle, nor would he be the last. Before the apocalypse, all those who opposed Naruto, Even Magneto and Black Phoenix died, and the apocalypse would be no different. After the apocalypse confronted Naruto, his fate would be same. While the other superheroes were working hard to attain their peak, Naruto had already risen to the top thanks to the system and watched everyone else labor hard. That was the difference between them. Apocalypse sat calmly in the Phoenix building, the city's highest structure, and watched the sun set. He believed it would be extremely tough to conquer this age. However, after defeating 2 cities along the road, he had yet to face a worthy opponent. Modern society, that's it. Apocalypse could not be faulted for thinking like way since the United States' reaction was just too feeble. Apocalypse was even prepared for a fierce battle, but in the end, he recognized they were really vulnerable. The Apocalypse even wanted to express how lonely being invincible was. At the same moment, Naruto's danger in Apocalypse's mind was significantly decreased. After all, Naruto had already demonstrated abilities that Apocalypse was aware of. He may even outperform Naruto in certain tasks. Of course, the concept was that Apocalypse was unaware of Galactus, Dormammu, Odin, and so on. Have we still not found the whereabouts of that false god? Apocalypse questioned the Scarlet Witch, who was standing behind him. The Scarlet Witch could utilize chaos magic to read people's memories, while Quicksilver was quick and efficient at obtaining information. Furthermore, these 2 siblings harbored a strong animosity toward Naruto, thus they were driven to find him. As a result, Apocalypse assigned the responsibility of locating Naruto to the 2 of them. No. That fake deity has vanished since the previous occurrence. Nobody knows where he is hiding. Perhaps he has already traveled to Asgard. The Scarlet Witch spoke coldly. Her tone conveyed her intense animosity against Naruto. After all, he had murdered her father. After hearing Scarlet Witch's comments, Apocalypse nodded. However, in his heart, he couldn't stop fantasizing. Asgard is an entirely new place. Naturally, Apocalypse knew little about Asgard, which had seldom arrived on Earth. At the same time, because Hela had not demonstrated her powers on Earth, Apocalypse had no idea how powerful Asgard was. Today's Apocalypse even had an infantile concept. Sooner or later, Asgard will also become a land conquered by me. Yes, the Apocalypse had begun to focus on Asgard. Furthermore, he felt and was confident in his ability to conquer Asgard. Apocalypse believed he had only governed Egypt before to 3000 AD because he believed the entire globe was that large. If he had realized the Earth had so many continents, he would have controlled the entire planet long ago. Similarly, Emperor Qin did not unify the world because he was unaware that there were multiple additional continents. The difference between them was that Emperor Qin truly possessed the capacity to conquer the globe. Apocalypse, on the other hand, felt he was capable of conquering the entire planet. There was still a large space between them. Unleash the words and challenge that imposter deity to confront us. Otherwise, until the day he arrives, we will destroy a city each day. Contemplating the noble mission that ignited within him, Apocalypse expressed his fervor to the Scarlet Witch. He was doing this with the intention of provoking Naruto and compelling him to leave. Despite the absence of Naruto, he possesses the ability to overpower Naruto's divine halo. How can someone lacking the courage to confront a superior being be deserving of the title of deity? The Scarlet Witch's gaze wavered, revealing a hint of hesitation and a fleeting moment of reluctance. Indeed, it was a tragic event. It could cause significant harm to numerous individuals. However, once she contemplated her father Magneto's quest for revenge and the heartbreaking plight of the mutants, Wanda's initial uncertainty vanished. I comprehend. I am committed to following your instructions. After delivering her speech, Wanda gracefully stepped down, ready to share the news. The news released by the Apocalypse quickly spread across the globe, capturing the attention of people everywhere. It was widely recognized that the formidable deity of Earth had a fresh contender. The declaration made by Apocalypse also incited widespread panic across the globe. Causing the destruction of a city on a daily basis was an incredibly heartless act. The people of the United States were deeply frustrated by the arrogant behavior of Apocalypse, while their own government seemed powerless to take action. they were unable to prevent the occurrence of apocalypse. They allowed him to have complete autonomy. A large number of individuals in the United States have expressed deep dissatisfaction with the military. Instead of having any expectations from the military, they relied on prayer and hoped that apocalypse would spare their city. Despite the destruction of God and heaven, there remained a significant number of devoted followers of the Christian religion on earth. Perhaps it was because they were accustomed to enthusiastically exclaiming Amen and took some time to adjust. Upon hearing about Apocalypse's announcement, there were mixed reactions among people. Some expressed happiness, while others felt sadness. Nick Fury was extremely frustrated and vented his anger by forcefully breaking a sturdy wooden table. "Oh, Apocalypse, how dare you underestimate the Avengers? If it weren't for the previous incident, the Avengers would have easily defeated you." Despite destroying a sturdy wooden table, Nick Fury's intense anger remained unabated. He vehemently expressed his frustration with the Apocalypse. Apocalypse's haughty remarks nearly humiliated Shield. Despite his frustration, Nick Fury found himself at a loss as he lacked an effective strategy to confront Apocalypse. He resorted to forcefully destroying several tables to release his frustration. Regarding the deployment of the Avengers to combat the Apocalypse, Nick Fury had not lost his sanity to this degree. Currently, the Avengers Alliance has experienced a decline in its influence, resulting in a significant decrease in the number of superheroes affiliated with the Alliance. The Avengers were left with only Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, and the less robust Spider-Man. Other superheroes, like Hulk, Thor, the Fantastic Four, and others, had already departed. In the previous incident, Shield had deeply disappointed the superheroes, causing great emotional distress. Clearly, they were already part of the Avengers, yet Shield failed to provide adequate protection for them. Instead, they were apprehended and had their blood collected. What was the purpose of remaining in such a formidable alliance? Given the current circumstances surrounding the Avengers superheroes, it became clear that they were unable to combat the formidable Apocalypse Legion. Nick Fury was the sole individual capable of engaging in combat. Maybe it's about time to give that person a call. Nick Fury pondered quietly. Clearly, the individual he was referring to was Captain Marvel. Although Nick Fury expressed concern, the Pentagon was quite pleased. They believed that Apocalypse was going to perish. From their perspective, it would have been acceptable if Apocalypse had limited their focus to the United States. However, their actions have now provoked the God of the Earth in a reckless manner. Wasn't this a reckless decision? Therefore, it was widely believed that Naruto would take decisive action to vanquish Apocalypse. It would be more favorable if the two of them eliminated each other. Naruto had been provoked by Apocalypse in a similar manner before. Considering Naruto's personality, it's quite remarkable how he managed to endure it. Unfortunately, the Pentagon had once again misjudged the situation. Over the course of the next 3 days, Apocalypse ruthlessly decimated 3 additional cities. Naruto, the highly anticipated figure, failed to make an appearance, leaving many executives of the United States disappointed. It's surprising that Naruto wasn't aware of Apocalypse's deliberate attempts to provoke him. Nevertheless, in Naruto's perspective, this was merely a minor issue. Despite Naruto's frustration, he was willing to grant Apocalypse a chance to take action. When the devastating threat of Apocalypse loomed over the nation, a decisive response was imminent. The incident with Ultron had left Naruto feeling deeply disillusioned with humanity. Now Naruto eagerly anticipated witnessing the unfortunate events unfold for those individuals who had previously insulted him online. If they expected Naruto to come to their rescue, then it seems they were overestimating his abilities. The Pentagon was taken aback by Naruto's unexpected attitude, causing them to be in a state of complete panic. There were speculations that Naruto had possibly relocated to Asgard, leading some to believe he had departed Earth. However, the question remains, if Naruto found himself in Asgard, who would possess the power to prevent the impending apocalypse? Upon considering this potential outcome, all individuals within the Pentagon building deeply lamented their prior decision. If they had been aware of the potential consequences, they would have done everything in their power to maintain their relationship with Naruto. However, at a time when numerous officials of the Pentagon were feeling hopeless, a hero emerged. Doctor Strange had recently become the new Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, taking on the role previously held by the Ancient One. Upon witnessing Apocalypse's behavior, Strange believed it was his duty as the Sorcerer Supreme to take a stand and ensure justice prevailed. After successfully repelling the formidable Lord of Dark Dimension, Dormammu, he was confident in his ability to overcome Apocalypse. Well, Doctor Strange was also highly regarded. With utmost confidence, Doctor Strange effortlessly opened a portal and materialized before the formidable Apocalypse Legion. The unexpected arrival of Doctor Strange instilled a sense of trepidation in the members of the Apocalypse Legion, as if they were confronting a formidable adversary. Indeed, the sight of Doctor Strange was quite unsettling. He appeared highly skilled and experienced. However, Doctor Strange found himself utterly overwhelmed by the immense power of the Scarlet Witch's chaos magic. The current Doctor Strange was considered to be highly skilled in the art of sorcery, although some may argue that his abilities were limited to mastery of magic. Prior to becoming proficient in the art of white magic, Doctor Strange's abilities were lacking. His sole reliable technique relied on the utilization of the Time Stone, but unfortunately, he was unable to employ it on this occasion. He was easily defeated with a single strike when faced with the Scarlet Witch's chaos magic. Due to his inexperienced performance, the Scarlet Witch was momentarily unable to react. Observing Doctor Strange, who lay on the ground struggling to breathe, the Scarlet Witch experienced a sense of satisfaction. Doctor Strange truly deserved to be recognized as the top standout in the Marvel Universe. He truly deserved this title. Apocalypse also seemed a bit unusual. He was at a loss for words. Despite the high expectations surrounding your debut, this outcome is rather underwhelming. Nevertheless, Apocalypse was pleased to witness someone arriving to deliver a head. Ultimately, the individuals who lost their lives were instrumental in his rise to power. Apocalypse's glory could only reach its peak by triumphing over one formidable opponent after another. He couldn't fault the peculiar Doctor for their lack of strength, as his own side was simply too powerful. When Apocalypse considered it from a professional perspective, he realized that this was indeed the truth. Indeed, the head sent by the United States military previously effectively demonstrated the sheer magnitude of Apocalypse's strength. Thus, it was to be expected that he regarded Doctor Strange as a formidable superhero among the Earth's defenders. The underwhelming reception of Doctor Strange's performance can be attributed to the overwhelming extent of his power. However, dwelling on it was pointless. The Apocalypse had made the decision to put an end to this mockery. Apocalypse confidently advanced, making deliberate strides as he approached Doctor Strange. He moved at a leisurely pace. However, Doctor Strange experienced a sense of oppression as he believed that each step he took was piercing his heart. Upon witnessing the impending arrival of Apocalypse, Doctor Strange swiftly devised a plan. Indeed, at this moment, he had the option to utilize the Time Stone to undo the circumstances. However, he refrained from using the Time Stone, recalling Yao's teachings that it should only be utilized as a final option. In addition, despite utilizing the Time Stone, Doctor Strange did not possess the confidence to overcome Apocalypse and his formidable army. He was different from Yao, who had the advantage of using the Time Stone to defeat the young Apocalypse by going back in time. So, Doctor Strange pondered deeply on how to rectify the present predicament. Out of nowhere, Doctor Strange devised a clever plan that would stir up some chaos. Given his inability to handle Apocalypse on his own, he sought out assistance from another individual. Doctor Strange has always excelled at finding assistance. Coincidentally, Doctor Strange was aware of the presence of a highly influential individual residing near Kamar Taj. If that formidable individual were to take action, Apocalypse would undoubtedly meet his demise. Indeed, Naruto was the person that the esteemed Doctor Strange had in mind. Nevertheless, Doctor Strange had failed to consider the potential outcome if Naruto proved unable to defeat Apocalypse. Doctor Strange didn't have much faith in Naruto's abilities. Interestingly, Doctor Strange had never given any thought to Naruto's life and death. Regardless, he seemed uninterested in Naruto, so why would he bother with someone from outside his circle? Some individuals may argue that Doctor Strange, being a superhero, would not behave in such a manner. If one were to thoroughly consider his performance in the movie, it would become evident that he is not a commendable individual. And if you were not acquainted with him, he wouldn't hesitate to deceive you completely. Regardless of your familiarity with him, he would still deceive you. Otherwise, what was the reason for this individual's gesture towards Tony during his battle with Thanos? Regarding the possibility of Naruto seeking revenge, Doctor Strange had no concerns. Regardless of the circumstances, Naruto couldn't help but acknowledge his status as the Sorcerer Supreme. In addition, if Naruto had the opportunity to retaliate, there is no doubt that he would have eliminated Apocalypse. If that were true, then this would not be seen as a trap for Naruto. He should apologize later. Doctor Strange, after completing his contemplation, promptly took action. He skillfully cast a powerful spell, creating a massive portal beneath the Apocalypse and his legion. Then, the Apocalypse and his legion descended upon the snow-capped mountain where Naruto resided in seclusion. Stay tuned for more.
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, I appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.